Power. We've got a lot to talk about the next few moments. We've got football to talk about, men's basketball, big win yesterday. The women are playing tonight, by the way, at the arena at 7 o'clock against Gardner-Webb, so they're preparing for their game this evening. Well, let's go back to football Saturday afternoon. 14,510 people in Cullowhee, all in purple, almost, except for the good Mercer gathering that we had. Extremely great football game. Bears get the win 49-47. Of course, as we know, with that win, they clinched a share of the Southern Conference Championship for this season and get the automatic qualifying berth postseason. There was a lot of accolades to go around that Coach I'm sure will talk about. C.J. Miller rushed for had 148 offensive yards and 3 touchdowns. Braden Atkinson threw for 443 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ajante Dabbs had 4 catches for 147 yards, including an 81-yard touchdown pass. One of 4 receivers that had at least 73 yards receiving. Julian Fox paced the Mercer defense with the game and career-high 13 tackles. Drew Clare added 10. Reese Griffith hit the winning field goal with 1:43 to play to give the Bears the advantage. Rankings came out just a little while ago. Bears are number 8 in both polls to coaches and stats. We'll talk about that game and lead into another big game this week. It's homecoming. Saturday, Chattanooga's coming to town. Coach, take it away.
Good afternoon. Good to see everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. Obviously, a massive weekend for Mercer football last weekend, and just coming off a game that meant so much to our kids. I think that anytime you have a chance to do something special that's really never been done at this school, I think it's really important. I mean, we still have a lot left, and we'll get to what we got left on the mission part. But I'm really proud of our players. I'm proud of their perseverance. I'm proud of their hard work. It's a group that's really fun to coach, and they show up every day ready to work. And to see them get to reap the benefit of all that hard work and come away as champions, that's something somebody can't take away from you. But we got to understand it was just a share. We have some business to attend to this week, but really proud of our kids. I'll talk about it. That's a really good Western football team. That's a playoff football team. I think what's good for the SoCon's good for Mercer, and I think that team absolutely, if they handle their business, should be in the talk for being in the field this year. I thought their fans, the atmosphere was great. I've been through Cullowhee. I've never been there on game day, and it was impressive. And they, comparable to us and what we do, and they showed out and provided our kids with an unbelievable atmosphere for the game. Kerwin, before their coach, and who does a fantastic job, was talking about, we had never gone up the mountain, and I think he forgot I lived in West Virginia for all those years, right? Like, man, I've had rabbit and squirrel, so it wasn't unfamiliar territory for us. But I'm proud of the way our kids went into that type of environment, the way they handled that type of environment, and then how they executed and played against a really, really good Western football team. And so, guys that stood out offensively for us, obviously, our freshman quarterback, man, Braden Atkinson continues to be not just one of the best freshmen in the country, but simply one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Western does a bunch of different things defensively. They present themselves, the looks that they give differently quite often. Very few stationary targets. So I thought our offensive line did a good job handling those looks. He got hit, but he didn't get sacked. And that's, again, a testament to the line, the tight ends, the running backs, and then certainly the young quarterback for processing things quickly and getting the ball out. And I'll be honest, he had 443 yards, and we had a couple long foul balls there in the first half where, had we completed a few of those big passes, the game may have been a little bit different, even score-wise, and he certainly would have had better. But he played extremely well. C.J. Miller continues to be a threat, both running the football and catching it. He had 2 massive plays late in the game, catching the football, just kind of squirting out of the backfield there. And then, he ran strong all day, had 91 yards rushing. And then, our wide receiver room continues to impress, and it's different people each week. But certainly Dabbs, the massive play on 3rd down across the middle, where they kind of went back shoulder on, and then his ability to break the tackle and score. Some of the things, not only did we miss a couple long foul balls in the first half, we missed on a couple that were 50-50. So we talked about, hey, man, in these type of games, we have to have those catches. We have to have those big plays. And you saw that in the first half. We come right out at halftime. Dabbs has a contested catch that puts us inside the 5. Kendall Harris takes a tip ball that's up for grabs, a 50-50 ball, and scores a touchdown. And the resilience of our team. They were, get down to it, we're up by 12, then we're up by 6, and then we're down, but we went right down the field. Questionable offensive pass interference call there at the end, but we were still in field goal range. And I wouldn't trust anybody else in this country other than Reese Griffith to step in, and he knocked down the kick from 33 yards away, and it was dead center. And then we were able to survive it on the end. Defensively, they gave us all we could handle. I thought our defense, they played 90-plus plays in that game when you count all the penalty reps and everything. And we're thin right now. We've had a bunch of guys out, and it's kind of what we got's on the field. And so those guys, our starters, where normally we may be rotating guys, some of our starters played as many as 87, 88 plays in that game. And so, we were a little winded there towards the end, especially chasing deep routes all day. But, we had just enough to do it. Things we did well. We won the game by 2 points. We had a safety. That was a massive play earlier in the game by Jordan Swain. It was set up by John McConnell pinning them on the 1 yard line. And then, I just think that, again, we talk about the complementary football. That was a big piece of it. Sorry, this thing's rattling around on me. From there, the other big play defensively that really turned into an arena game. You got to get a couple of stops, right? And the team that gets a few stops wins. But the safety and then the sack by Justin Gilbert, I thought were massive plays in that game. The strip sack, obviously, that forced the ball, and Drew Clare recovered. A bunch of guys played really well. They did a bunch. They chipped Zoc most of the day, but Kobe McGinnis came back, played pretty well. Certainly our linebacker room, I thought Drew Clare played his best game of the season. Julian Fox, played extremely well. And so, we got a lot out of our kids. They played hard, and we had just enough there at the end. And, you got to be good. You got to be persistent. You got to be focused. And every now and again, the breaks got to go your way, and they went our way at the very end. And here we are. We're SoCon champs for back-to-back years. So really pleased with our kids. I'm proud of them. I'm super happy for them to have that moment. Again, as great as their atmosphere was, we had a bunch of family and friends travel up to the game. Our players did. Our cheer and dance were there. And so all those people that made the trip got to witness something pretty special. So really excited about the outcome. We got a massive game against Chattanooga this week, right? Like, it's 5-5, but they're 5-5, but it's a much better football team, right? You're talking about, 3 of their losses are to Memphis, who's up for contention for the college football spot in the playoffs, is the best group of 6 team. You got losses to Tarleton State, who was number 3 in the country when they lost. They got lost to Tennessee Tech, who's in the top 5 right now. And then they lost to Western, who we just saw is a really good football team. So this is a massive game. It's homecoming. I'd love to see 5-star packed. It's supposed to be 77 and sunny. We need everybody here because this isn't just hey, we're finishing off the year. We got a lot to play for still. Our guys will be ready to roll, but we need all the support we can get to play a really talented Chattanooga team who are much, much better than their record right now indicates. And so with that, we'll open it up for any questions.
Coach, that last minute 30 of the game, probably one of the more unusual sequences I've seen. They get the booth review, you guys get the timeout back, and then, of course, the celebration by both teams on the field. What's kind of going on in your head as a coach throughout that whole sequence?
Yeah, really that last little bit, like you mentioned the timeout, the scoreboard never reposted the timeout. The booth reviewed the incomplete, it ended up being an incomplete pass. I kind of thought that call was going to go our way because of the amount of time it was taking. They got to find the clock. They got to find the spot because they'd already moved the chains, and then they got to reset it. Well, so we got that timeout back, and that's what we eventually used to ice the kicker there. But the scoreboard never reposted it, so some of their folks were upset about that. But that's why we had a timeout at the end of the game. We got it back on the booth review. But then from there, it was just managing it, right? It's like making sure we get the right personnel on the field. They were going quick, and we were able to keep them to a field goal. And again, at the end, we got decent pressure on it, and the kid just pushed it to the right. It's hard to tell whatever angle you're at unless you're way at the far end of the field. I was closer to the line of scrimmage, so I was locked in on the 2 officials underneath the scoreboard. And as soon as they X that thing out, I was pretty fired up. But certainly different, a little viral moment, right, with 2 teams celebrating, a little different.
That's what I was going to say, the emotion in that game. You talk about all the lead changes, you talk about explosive plays. You had 551 yards and 7 touchdowns against your defense, and then you talk about the end of that game, like the last minute and a half. What was the emotion running on the field? Everybody thinks they won. What was it like?
Yeah. Again, I watched the officials, give the no good. So I knew we had won it. Their PA announcer obviously had a bad angle. He had announced that they had made the kick. And so that's why you got some of the rush from their fans. Obviously the kicker knew he missed it. And so, just a little bit different moment, but a lot of emotion. Two really, really good football teams. I mean, that was a hell of a. That's what college football is really supposed to be about, and to have it be in our conference and to have it produce a championship for us was something really special. But yeah, ton of emotion. I'm already on blood pressure medicine, so I was good, but it still probably shaved a few years off my life there.
And then obviously the big collab with John Gruden was pretty cool. I think they got to get him a pronunciation guide with how poorly he butchered Dabs' name. But
That's all right. We actually quite appreciate that, and that's just how he goes now in our room. But yeah, man, listen, like he's been doing that stuff all year. I really think it was cool because he recognized Braden before we'd even sent the box in, and then obviously just kind of backed it up. And we want to make sure that there's a bunch of Mercer gear down there. I don't know what he does with all that. I assume it's like, when they ship that stuff to third world countries and there's a bunch of people wearing like Buffalo Bills Super Bowl champion shirts, right? Like I don't know if it's just wandering around Tampa or what, but I'd be curious. Like that's a great follow-up story. Is like, where does all that swag go at the end of it, right? But yeah, certainly cool moment. And obviously Coach Gruden's one of the best to ever do it. And he's had a revitalization on some of the Barstool stuff, and that's kind of a cool thing to recognize. The fact that he's not just recognizing blue bloods, he's taking a look at everybody is pretty special.
Surprised as a fellow Northwestern Ohio, and he didn't shout out your connection to Toledo instead of he played at Ohio State.
Yeah, he's a Dayton guy, right? I think he played at Dayton.
He went to high school in Indiana, but from Sandusky.
Yep, by Perkins. So it always goes back to Ohio, right? Even Coach Ritter's got some ties. So.
And then just you talk about all those impactful plays. I almost feel like the play that really stood out to me was, I think that fumble recovery in the second half really just kept the pressure on for you guys. Is there really one play that you were like, you talked about 5 or 6 of them, but was there one that where you're like, yes, this is the one that helped us win the game? Obviously, the safety was big, but
the safety was early enough. The strip sack was really, that allowed us to go up 12 points at that point, I believe. And we were down just a little bit at halftime. It was 21-18. We were inside the 10-yard line. I'm of the perspective that you take points early, right? Like, I don't think you need to be too aggressive in what is going to be a close game. So I went for the 3 there. But, in a game like that, I would have liked to have seen a touchdown. Like, we need touchdowns in that moment. We were 5 for 5 still in the red zone, but I would have liked to have seen that one be a touchdown. And so that strip sack gave us the ability to go up because we scored on that drive. And I think that's probably the key play.
then you guys are facing the Mocs at home. A lot of people have been talking about their quarterback, but what else is really standing out to you on film about that team?
They run the football. Like they're committed to running the football. Coach Pizzo does a great job with that offense, and they made a quarterback change last week. They started a redshirt freshman, and they got 3 wide receivers who can really go. Like I think Chattanooga's talented. They've shown up on film, and again, they're a little bit like us, man. They've had some surgeries. They've been a little banged up. They're playing a ton of young guys, and you're seeing them incrementally get better every week. And they put it together last week and played really well against Furman. And their quarterback, that game was back and forth through halftime, and then the quarterback settled in, and he had 3 massive pass plays. And again, they controlled the ball something like 23 out of the last 28 minutes of the game. So I think they've always done a really good job at the offensive line. And then defensively, they're talented, man. They're just young.
Then I think you talked about it in your open there, but just you guys have clinched a share of the championship. You guys do it on Saturday. This Saturday would be, I think, the first time in 16 or 17 years that a team goes back to back. Just how special is that for you as a coach? You've been at a lot of championship level programs, but just to make history like that, does it kind of mean anything different to you, or is it just, hey, business isn't done, job's not finished?
It's kind of against everything I tell my kids. I don't like to share, right? And so we want to win it outright. We want to, go 8-0 for the first time in conference history, but for us, for Mercer, and then, certainly we're in the playoffs, but how we play next weekend also affects seeding. And so there's a lot to play for. It's homecoming, right? Like all the pomp and circumstance of homecoming, our sole job is to win, to play well enough to win the football game. And so there's a lot into it, man, but we have to play well. It actually incentivizes us, right? Like there can't be any lull coming off the win where you secure a piece of it. We have a lot to play for, and we got to be dialed in this week at practice.
And then with you and your family, they traveled to Colorado this weekend with you you guys. What was that moment like with your family, just celebrating that, and just it seems like the emotions were really just high.
Yeah, I mean,
for you guys.
they allow me to live out my dream in terms of my career every day. And like my wife's been there step for step with me, side by side. And then my boys, like those are all their big brothers, man. And like they don't realize it now when they're in their moment, but like looking back and just being in the locker room and the fist bumps and holding the trophy and like, and we never want to take any of it for granted. It's hard. Like we were talking as a staff, you got to like, it's really incredible the consistency that we've had. I mean, we're very blessed, and I think it's a testament to the hard work and of everybody. But since 2018, you don't take the 2020 year because there was no playoffs that year in Division II football. But that's in 7 full seasons, not counting the 2020 COVID year. This was our 5th conference championship. So it's 18 and 19 in Notre Dame College. It's 23 at Lenore-Ryan, and then it's 24 and 25 at Mercer. And so where people are fighting like hell to get one, to have 5 and 7 years, man, like just reflecting back on that is pretty special, and we're doing things pretty well, and but we're not satisfied. That's the great thing is like we got such a young group, like they're ready, they're hungry, and we're ready to roll. And but yeah, I appreciate my family being there. I appreciate our administration allowing that stuff to happen. Really, all of our families to be a part of that if they're able to get up to games. And not every place is like that, and that's what makes Mercer special.
I think the last thing for me is, obviously having that UC Davis game as a no contest. Would you almost want to have an almost extra playoff-like game, or would you prefer having the bye as a coach?
Listen, I think late in the year right now, it really can go either way. I think specific to us, a bye would be massive just from like a health standpoint. Again, with the roster limits, it's made things really thin if you get too many injuries. And so, at this point, the bye would be advantageous from like a health perspective, right? But there's always that line of like, man, if you're playing really good football, you don't want to lose a hot hand by taking a week off. But, we had 2 bye weeks already. We've handled both of them, I think, pretty well. We've come out of both of those and played extremely well the next game. So at this point, man, we can't focus on anything other than playing really, really well against a good Chattanooga team.
I was piggybacking off of the family question. Just shout out your wife real quick because I know she's a real hero.
Yeah, I mean, all our coaches' wives, man. I mean, like I said, she had a career as a guidance counselor. She's brilliant in her own right with what she does. Not working now because she's running the house, and she's there step by step. And again, it allows me the time. I don't think folks understand like how much time we're not with our families. Which again, being at a place like Mercer where our families are welcome really at any time, and really creating the atmosphere in this building where, hey, listen, man, like if you can't get home or you need to go, like I don't want, as long as you're not missing practice, you better be at your kids' stuff. You can come back to work, you can work remote, like we can manage it. But yeah, I mean, Lacey's everything, man, and she's the rock of our family. She runs the house. She makes things go when we are gone so much, and she makes sure the kids are where they need to be, and she's everything.
I have a question about some of you guys talking on, I guess it's the X now, or Twitter. What do you think about that, the back and forth with them talking on social media?
Hey, listen, man, I prefer to let our play do it, but they're also kids, and a little bit of healthy banter isn't the worst thing, right? Like, I know we got a kick out of some of the coaching memes where my face got put on some interesting pictures. I thought about dressing up for the press conference today, but I know how that would go over. So it's after Halloween. But listen, man, we work way too hard at this stuff. There's too many people that take themselves way too seriously. Like, if you don't have fun with this, if you don't have fun with your team, it's a miserable existence. And like, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to not, like, as long as you know when it's time to lock in. And too many people don't understand that, man. They're not confident enough in what they're doing, or they're scared of what people are going to think. And at the end of the day, if our team's connected and a little bit of healthy banter is good when it goes over the board, I mean, a big thing for us this week was just talking about discipline. I mean, we're one of the least penalized teams in the country, and we got called for more penalties this past week than we have in 9 games. So it is what it is.
How'd your son's first season at FBD go?
Solid. They lost in the second round of the playoffs to a really strong Westfield team, but the FBD Vikings 3rd and 4th grade group was solid. The 5th and 6th grade team won the championship though, so the future's bright there with the youth Viking League.
Are you going to take on like an assistant, like volunteer coach coaching job there?
No, man, I'm the jerk in the stands. I'm officially a fan. I don't say anything at their sporting events. I'm incognito, and I don't even want to talk to it. Like I'm just there to watch my kids and be a normal person for an hour or two a day, a couple times a week, hopefully.
Coach, you talked about the emotion in that WCU game, and I guess what were you talking about how you're proud of the way your players played? What was like the mentality on the sideline? Because you guys did the job to go up, and then you saw your lead kind of disappear, and you had to pull it off once again.
I mean, in the moment, there was resiliency. I mean, we talk all the time, like 60 minutes or whatever it takes, right? And it took every second of the 60 in the game. And I really think we talk about kind of the extended success, man. Like, it is really hard to be physically and emotionally prepared every week. And we talk about the team that's most ready to play typically wins. And, you know, our demeanor was such, and demeanor is a word we use, you know, culture, all those buzzwords that people don't know, you know, you can't tell what the hell it actually is. But like our demeanor, you should be able to feel it, right? And like, there was never like, oh man, it was like, no, here we go again. Like we're on it. We're going to go up, and then we're going to get a stop and maybe get a little bit of help. But at the end of the day, like we're not out of this thing. And so they were there. Now reflecting Sunday on the game, like, you know, what would I like to see as an offensive line coach? We get the ball back with 6:30 on the clock. I'd like to see us be able to run the football at a clip that we can just put the thing away and, you know, save everybody's blood pressure a hit.
Coach, Chris Hatcher spoke to the touchdown club a few weeks ago and said, comment on how well things are going at Mercer, just how impressed he was. And, you know, he's got Macon roots, and you know, he's out now at Sanford. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, I mentioned it the other week. Like, we talk about families in here. Like, that doesn't just affect Coach Hatcher. He's done it for a long time. He's very well connected. My guess is when he's ready to coach again, he'll have another opportunity. I got a lot of respect for Chris and all that he's accomplished in a very storied career over, you know, several different institutions as a head coach. He's Sanford's all-time winningest coach. But it's not just him. It's the entire staff. It's the players that play for him. I mean, that affects everybody, and it's not easy. It's you know, it's easy to be an armchair quarterback and say, we got to get him out, and then, you know, in today's portal world, man, like it's tough to do it consistently. And, you know, I feel for everybody involved. Chris is a great guy and a great coach. He'll have another opportunity.
Mike, what are you seeing from Chattanooga on film? And I know you look at several games, but particularly now with the quarterback change that they made this week, what are you seeing differently?
Yeah, a little bit of a belief. Their pace of play was a little bit different. You know, they're kind of who they are. They're very similar to us, like especially defensively, structure-wise, and then offensively, like quarterback game. You know, they did a better job last week of throwing the ball down the field and then having some big plays in the passing game where, you know, they've been very run reliant and RPO reliant. Like they made some big plays in the drop back passing game.
Okay, anything else for Coach Jacobs?